Rahul never noticed when his world started shrinking. There was no pain. His central vision remained perfectly clear. Just subtle signs, faint halos around lights, and slight heaviness in the eyes, easy to ignore. But what he didn't realize was a silent process had already begun, a gradual loss of peripheral vision progressing unnoticed. By the time he visited an ophthalmologist, nearly 40% of his optic nerve fibers had already been lost. This is deceptive nature of glaucoma, a condition where significant irreversible damage occurs before the patient becomes aware of the problem. Hence, glaucoma is often called a silent thief of sight. At the center of this disease lies a finely regulated fluid system within the eye, the aqueous humor. Its balance determines intraocular pressure and ultimately the survival of the optic nerve. Today we shall explore this delicate plumbing system of the eye and understand how its failure leads to irreversible loss of vision. Hi, this is Pratima and welcome to Planet Physiology where concepts become crystal clear. Let's begin with the compartments of the eye. Behind the lens is the posterior segment containing vitreous humor, a thick, transparent, gelatinous mass made of proteoglycan filaments. But in front of the lens is the anterior chamber, which is filled with dynamic, watery aqueous humor. Aqueous humor is a clear, watery fluid that is constantly being secreted, circulated, and removed. It is completely replaced roughly every 60 to 90 minutes. So let's see its manufacturing plant and the process. Do you remember choroid, the middle layer of the eyeball? Its anterior thickened region is called ciliary body. It has many finger-like projections known as ciliary processes. These are lined by highly secretory epithelial cells and immediately beneath them is a highly vascular area. Sodium-potassium pump in the secretory epithelial cells constantly pump sodium into the posterior chamber. Note that this is the region between iris and lens, and do not confuse it with the posterior segment or the compartment containing vitreous humor. To maintain electroneutrality, chloride and bicarbonate ion diffuse into the posterior chamber and the water follows by osmosis. Nutrients like amino acids, ascorbic acid and glucose are transported into the aqueous humor either by active transport or by facilitated diffusion. About 80 to 90% of the aqueous humor is formed by this active process, while remaining portion is contributed by ultrafiltration of plasma due to pressure gradient between the capillaries and the interstitial fluid. It is important to note that ciliary epithelium and the vascular endothelium of iris possess tight junctions and form blood-aqueous barrier. It maintains a protein-free environment in the anterior chamber and helps in clarity of vision. Aqueous humor is continuously produced by the ciliary processes at the rate of about 2 to 3 microliters per minute. Interestingly, it shows circadian rhythm with higher rate in the morning. And this knowledge allows clinicians to better interpret 24-hour pressure variations and choose the most effective time for medical intervention to protect the optic nerve. The resulting solution contains about 98% water. Major electrolytes include sodium, chloride and bicarbonate ions along with small concentration of potassium, calcium, magnesium and phosphate. Importantly, aqueous humor also contains ascorbic acid that is vitamin C, glucose, amino acids, glutathione and immunoglobulins. Once formed by the ciliary processes, aqueous flows into the posterior chamber, passes through the pupil and enters the anterior chamber. It then moves into the angle between the cornea and iris at the iridio-corneal junction. Here the fluid passes through the trabecular meshwork, enters the Schlemm's canal at the sclerocorneal junction and finally drains into the episcleral veins. About 90% of the drainage occurs through this conventional pathway which is pressure dependent. The higher the pressure inside the eye, the more forcefully it pushes the fluid through the drainage system. In unconventional route, the ovuoscleral pathway, a small amount of aqueous humor seeps through the ciliary muscle fibers into the space behind the choroid. This pathway is independent of pressure. Normally, the rate of absorption of aqueous is equal to the rate of its production. Now let's study functions of aqueous humor. A major function of aqueous humor is to supply nutrients like amino acids, glucose and oxygen to avascular tissues of eye such as cornea and lens. It removes waste products, blood, macrophages and other debris from the posterior cornea and anterior lens. It exerts a constant hydrostatic pressure within the anterior chamber, intraocular pressure, which maintains the shape of the eyeball and keeps its wall taut. It may transport ascorbic acid into the anterior segment, acting as antioxidant and protecting against light-induced damage. The presence of immunoglobulin suggests a role in immune defense against pathogens. Aqueous contributes to refraction and it helps to prevent dryness of the eye. Let's now talk about intraocular pressure and the clinical aspects associated with it. Normal intraocular pressure ranges between 12 to 20 mm of mercury and is maintained by a balance between secretion and absorption of aqueous humor. An increase in intraocular pressure can lead to glaucoma. Glaucoma is a progressive, irreversible disease of the eye in which intraocular pressure becomes pathologically high, ultimately leading to visual field loss and blindness. Sustained pressures above 25 to 30 mm of mercury can result in vision loss. Based on the cause of raised intraocular pressure, glaucoma can be classified as open angle and angle closure glaucoma. The term angle refers to the angle between iris and the cornea, the site of aqueous humor drainage. Let's first study about open angle glaucoma. In most cases, intraocular pressure is raised because of higher resistance to fluid outflow. It occurs due to obstruction of microscopic pores in the trabecular meshwork, just similar like clogged drain. This may be acute due to accumulation of WBCs or tissue debris in conditions like inflammation, or chronic as seen in aging due to fibrous occlusion of trabecular spaces. As aqueous humor continues to be produced but cannot be drained effectively, intraocular pressure rises. Another contributing factor may be overproduction of aqueous humor exceeding its normal rate of removal. Because the eyeball is enclosed within a rigid, non-expandable capsule, this rise in pressure is transmitted to the back of the eye, compressing the axons of the optic nerve. This mechanical stress disrupts axonal flow in the optic nerve fibers. In addition, compression of retinal artery compromises oxygen and nutrient supply, leading to death of the retinal ganglion cells and ultimately vision loss. Usually, macular fibers are relatively resistant to damage, while the fibers at the optic disc degenerate from periphery inwards, explaining why peripheral vision is lost first. Open angle glaucoma is typically asymptomatic in early stages, but gradually progresses to visual impairment, starting with peripheral vision loss and eventually affecting central vision. This is exactly what happened in Rahul's case. Now let's study the second type, angle closure glaucoma. In primary angle closure glaucoma, the iridocorneal angle is narrowed or completely closed, obstructing the aqueous humor drainage. This is usually due to forward displacement of the iris against the cornea. Patient presents with sudden ocular pain, halos around light, red eye, very high intraocular pressure, nausea, vomiting, and sudden loss of vision. On examination, there may be corneal edema, engorged conjunctival vessels, and fixed dilated pupil. Angle closure glaucoma is a medical emergency requiring immediate attention. It is important to note that high intraocular pressure alone does not always cause glaucoma. There are other contributing factors as well. Okay, let's move on to the diagnosis of glaucoma. Its baseline evaluation includes intraocular pressure measurement using tonometry, anterior chamber angle assessment using optical coherence tomography, abbreviated as OCT, gonioscopy to inspect the drainage angle, fundus examination to assess retinal nerve fiber layer, corneal thickness measurement by pachymetry, and visual field testing, that is perimetry. Moving on to its management. Since increased intraocular pressure is the major risk factor, goal of management of glaucoma is to reduce it either by decreasing its production or increasing outflow. Topical beta blockers and carbonic anhydrase inhibitors reduce aqueous humor production, while prostaglandin analogues increase outflow through the drainage pathways. Surgical management include selective laser trabeculoplasty in open angle glaucoma, while NDYG laser peripheral iridotomy in angle closure glaucoma. Glaucoma can affect anyone, but risk increases with aging, high baseline intraocular pressure, family history, and long-term steroid use. Overall prevalence of glaucoma is similar in North America and Asia, but angle closure glaucoma is 4 times more common in Asia. Raoult's vision loss is permanent because the optic nerve cannot regenerate. However, with daily medication and or surgical procedures, he can preserve his remaining vision. Because increased eye pressure cannot be felt, a simple routine eye checkup is the only way to detect this silent thief before it steals your sight. And that's why understanding something as simple as aqueous humor is not just physiology, it's prevention. If this video helped you to see the concept clearly, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Planet Physiology. Because the more you understand, the better you care. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.